Don't you be letting that deal go down. Jerry Garcia here on KRFF 95.9, RadioFreeFargo.org, streaming everywhere on the blue and green marble you hail from. We can get into your ear hole with the best independent radio station in the world as far as I'm concerned. Welcome. It's 4-ish. Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Thursdays, I get in here. We talk about cannabis, the benefits of cannabis news in general. And I got some crazy drug stories, too. I mean, we got some crazy Xanax child kidnapping stuff. We got some guy covered in his own feces, tripping on acid at some ball game. We're going to cover it. We're going to open a big fat bag of cannabis news at 4:20. Stick around for that. We got music before that. And we'll talk about the new lady in charge in Minnesota who's going to be spearheading the cannabis market later than sooner. However, if you're in Minnesota, you can have up to 2 ounces in your pocket. And if you got gas, you can zip over to White Earth or Red Lake. They currently have dispensaries. And I believe it's come and get it, y'all. But anyway, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. That's me. It's Thursday. And I am happy to be here. And I hope you are happy to be here as well. It's a pretty nice day here in Fargo. It's been beautiful this week. We're going to have some great fall days ahead of us. So let's keep it positive, should we? This show is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy. Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook. 1,200 mgs of CBD, locally grown hemp in the tub of butter. It's for topical solutions, and it works great. I use it on, well, head to toe, yo. Head to toe. Thank you, Black Cottage Alchemy, for sponsoring this show. I believe God created cannabis for us to use as we see fit, responsibly, maturely, and intellectually, using some intelligence God also gave you. And I show him props every Sunday, Antioch Church. 10 a.m. we do a recovery class. 11 a.m. we put our hands in the air for the man upstairs. I'm on stick duty. Come on through. 4:20 we open a big fat bag of cannabis news. Just stick around for that. You're listening to Radio Free Fargo 95.9, KRFF Community Radio. Business owners, managers, nonprofit organization leaders considering advertising. Why not learn what underwriting is on a nonprofit community radio station like Radio Free Fargo? To learn more about what underwriting is, please contact us at our website, www.radiofreefargo.org, or at our profile on Facebook. Why not let listeners know that you support the community by supporting a community radio station like the 95.9? Again, no stinky arts music mart after me. It smells pleasantly fresh in here, so I kind of wasn't surprised when they said there'd be no stink. So no stinky arts music mart. He'll be in next week. They, I suppose, is more accurate. We've got a mixtape down the line today. Don't forget Fred, spelled with a P. It's our AI robot. He'll be spinning music when nobody real's talking. And then, to wrap up our Thursday, is Artemis Shrine. And then Friday, and then you got the other day. So check us out, Radio Free Fargo. I'm going to play a little music. And then, to business. And you're welcome, or not. I'll probably get some love or some hate, but here we go. What does the Fox say? 95.9. Man, you're welcome. The Fox. What does the Fox say? By Elvis? I don't know. I mean, kind of why go before an L? It's hard to say. You're listening to Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. KRFF 95.9 LPFM. Moorhead, Fargo. RadioFreeFargo.org. Streaming everywhere you at. We can be there too. Just kind of hugging your Audible. Man, when you make stuff up, sometimes it don't always hit, but you do what you do. We're going to talk about cannabis. We're going to open a big fat bag of cannabis news at 4:20. But now, we're going to do some stuff. And boy, you're going to love it. Maybe not. Programming on KRFF. Radio Free Fargo, 95.9 FM has been underwritten by Flatland Guitar and Lutherie. Flatland Guitar is your full-service guitar shop and your exclusive dealer for Yamaha, Taylor, Paul Reed Smith guitars, and other brands. They sell guitars on consignment, they take trade-ins, and have a full-service on-site repair center. Check out Flatland Guitar and Lutherie on Facebook or visit them in person at 1450 25th Street South in Fargo. Their hours are Monday through Friday, 10 to 6, Saturdays, 10 to 5, and they're closed on the Lord's Day. Now, since we talk about cannabis mostly here, however, when it's like a slow day or whatever, I'm reaching for anything interesting, and so we have that today. We got stuff. But before we get to the stuff, let me find what I'm looking for. I'll find it. Well, I thought I had it. Where are we at with it? Oh, my. Found it. This is from NPR News. And this is the rest of the story. Just kidding. Cannabis Company founder picked to oversee Minnesota cannabis market. Cannabis Regulatory Agency will be led by Erin DuPree, who founded a low-dose THC company. She'll leave behind to oversee the state's move. And, and she's like a young lady, 43. And so DuPree will take charge in refining and enforcing the boundaries around aspects of cannabis from growth to sale. DuPree said in an interview that she has a firm grasp of the cannabis landscape, having founded this company and done other business consulting for about 2 decades. And I don't know what 2 decades is. Is that 20 years? She says, I'm a good fit because I'm young enough to be able to connect. And you're like, what's the good fit? Well, we're talking about Erin DuPree. She's the first leader of Minnesota's Office of Cannabis Management. She's going to be in charge of the cannabis thing, the cannabis space as it morphs and grows in Minnesota. Because, as you know or may not know, it won't be till probably 2025 before there's a legitimate, structurally running program with dispensaries and the like. Again, there is the native land. There are a couple dispensaries you can access. And again, if you were smart, you're already well on your way to be growing something. Because you can grow it. August 1st, you could put a seed in the ground. I guess you wouldn't put a seed in the ground August 1st. You'd want to germinate it in a towel or whatever. Look at me talking wisdom, huh? Man, I know so much about germinating. All right, where are we? DuPree says she's a good fit because she's young enough to be able to connect with the peeps who are going to be actively entering this industry as we create it. But she's experienced enough to deal with the real problems that businesses are going to run into trying to be a part of this industry. I'm here to not only serve Minnesotans, but to serve Minnesota businesses. The store, which was in Apple Valley, offered low-dose hemp products, including Eds and Bevs. It will close because she'll be moving. I don't know why it'd have to close. You'd give it to your sister. I don't know. DuPree said Thursday she's familiar with the regulatory side of cannabis and her lack of prior government service might be an asset, probably. Because if I don't have a background in that, I don't have any baggage, I'm coming here with an open mind and ready to work with everybody. Sounds good so far. When she begins the assignment in early October, she'll be building an agency from the ground up. She'll start by filling in an initial 9 positions and eventually 150 employees. That's crazy. For a regulatory board, I don't know. That sounds like, like 100 too many. But hey, if you're paying their rent, more power to you. It's a big job, said Representative Zach Stephenson. He helped write the law that made possession and use. Everybody knows that. Everybody knows Zach. Rather than assign oversight to several agencies, the law sponsors created the new entity to set rules and ensure what's sold is within potency limits. I like it. So Zach says they will immediately take over that and shepherd the process through so that we can have a legal marketplace up and running as expeditiously as possible. So as it expands down the road, it'll probably start to look more like other agencies, but I think in the first couple of years, going to feel more like kind of a scrappy startup. It's going to have to do a lot of work really quickly. And here like I said, state officials have said they expect broad sales to start in early 2025, while some American Indian tribes have begun selling cannabis products. So, if you're looking for a job, let's see. The job posting cited director to guide efforts. Minimum qualifications included 8 years of professional experience and regulatory oversight. You had to have knowledge of cannabis and hemp. Background check was required, and the job pays up to. Any guesses? Now, I was surprised. DuPree said while the move to a retail market is a heavy lift, Minnesota has the record of other states that legalized cannabis sooner to draw from. Okay, now, I'm going to tell you. After the background, they're going to pay her $151,000 per year. Now, is that a lot? I don't know. But I guess there's a czar. DuPree has her work cut out for her. She'll oversee the rulemaking. Let's see. Mark, Kathy, Erin DuPree says she'll be on the job a week from Monday, and that's October 1st. Erin DuPree says we have to have processes and policies in place before we can even consider doing licensing. The law made it so that the Office of Cannabis Management has to go through a rulemaking process. Mark says, well, they say that DuPree's frontline experience working in cannabis is a big plus. They say she's a very good fit for this job. So we'll see. But I think it's time to play some music, and then we will get to 420. Open up a big fat bag of cannabis news. Here's brand new stuff by Bahamas 95.9. Well, I've never heard of this guy before. I'm still Bahamas. It's the Bootcut album, brand new 2023, here on 95.9 Radio Free Fargo. It's time to open a big fat bag of cannabis news, and it's a little behind, so we're going to do it right now. Get ready for it. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25 minutes is about what I got for you guys, full of news, so hang out. I'll be back in a second. And by second, I mean probably that.
Hey, it's Phil from Canna-Heads. Like this episode? Hit that like button. And if you enjoy the show, hit that subscribe button to stay up to date on cannabis news, local and national. Listen live on 95.9 in the Fargo, North Dakota region from 4 to 5 p.m. on Thursday. For our non-Fargo region friends, you can listen on your favorite podcast platform. Just search Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Now enjoy the show.
Ding, 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 ding. Hello. Hello, mate. What's up, everybody? Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. I got stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. Again, 420, Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Every Thursday I get in here. No Stinky Arts Music Mart after me next week. And then there's a mixtape show. There's some other stuff going on. RadioFreeFargo.org online. Just go to the calendar of events. It'll show you what's up. But then the nighttime is Artemis Shrine. Okay. High times. Border Patrol intercepts nearly $10 million at the U.S.-Mexican border in Texas. U.S. Customs and Border Protection seized over 2 tons of cannabis in a single search of a truck, valuing it nearing $10 million in street value. Now, that's always a gray area, but if you go to High Times and you check this article out, there is, I don't even know, it must have been a semi-truck, because this, they say the law enforcement agents presented the seizure with stacked bales of cannabis in a wall-like structure that was posted on X. You can check it out. So in a single swoop, they seized over 2 tons of cannabis. The bust took place last Thursday on September 14th at the World Trade Bridge in Laredo. CBP officer flagged a 2023 Freightliner tractor trailer that claimed to ship home goods for secondary inspection. And why? You were bored? Because they don't give any reason. You just thought, hey, we'll look again? Crazy. So they discovered 177 packages containing a total of 4,466 pounds of alleged cannabis within the trailer. So, the CBP officers continue to maintain strict vigilance in our cargo environment, and this week they came up big with a seizure of more than 2 tons. Director Albert Flores says we've not seen as much cannabis lately compared to the harder narcotics, but it underscores the ever-changing nature of the drug threat our officers face on a daily. It's not a threat. You just found that the home goods was not home goods. CBP agents are primarily concerned with cannabis and drugs that are headed into the country instead of headed the other way. Well, toodly-doo on you, Flores. But anyway, there's other stuff here. CBP is one of the world's largest law enforcement organizations with the primary goal of keeping terrorists and their weapons out. But they also enforce lawful international travel and trade. Cannabis seizures along the U.S.-Mexico border, which stretches nearly 2,000 miles, have actually fallen dramatically in the recent years, aligning neatly with adult-use cannabis laws in the West. See, this is interesting here. Seizures fell from about 1,300 metric tons in 2013 to around 70 metric tons in 2022. I don't know if you're good at math, because I'm not, but that's insane. So the U.S.-Mexican border is not the only borderline you need to worry about in 2023. I mean, I'm not sure I'm worried, but in 2019, Border Patrol seized $100,000 worth of cannabis in upstate New York near Canada. That's nothing. Agents assigned to the Messina Border Patrol Station were on duty when they pulled over a red pickup truck in the parking lot of a hotel in Hogansburg. And I don't know why, but after a K-9 unit with the SRMT, which stands for, are you ready for it? St. Regis Mohawk Tribal Police. And you definitely don't mess with the SRMTP. You know what I mean? Because they'll stab you in the eye with their Mohawk. They've done it once, they'll do it again. So anyway, but a lot of people from the Canadian border, they just don't know. Up north, some people are doing it by accident. Them Canadians are not that smart. I wish the Canadians were as smart as us North Dakotans. Am I right? High five. Just kidding. I don't mean it. Okay, now, this is from High Times 2, and this is interesting. Well, first of all, I never even knew that this was happening. And maybe you guys don't, maybe you do. But did you know there was an orbiting space drug factory? Yeah. Did you know that there's a pharmaceutical factory orbiting in space as we speak? And you're probably like, well, no. But if you said yes, did you know they're trying to get back to Earth and they're denied re-entry? You're like, what? I know. When I seen it, I was like, all right, I get to talk about this. This is crazy. So anyway, High Times. Orbiting space drug factory denied re-entry to Earth. There's a drug used to treat HIV orbiting the planet, and we won't let it come back to Earth. United States Air Force has denied re-entry and landing permission for a floating drug factory. It's like, what? I knew the space station was up there. I knew Elon's got satellites up there, and Lord knows what else is up there, right? But I certainly didn't know that apparently orbiting Earth producing zero gravity pharmaceuticals since June. Originally reported by TechCrunch, the in-space drug production capsule owned and operated by Varda Space Industries has been experimenting with making a certain kind of HIV medication in low-gravity environments. Varda announced on June 30th that they had successfully synthesized a vial of ritonavir crystals, a drug used to treat HIV. Over the last day, for the first time ever, orbital drug processing happened outside of a government-run space station. Our crystallization of ritonavir appears to have been nominal. The capsule was originally slated to come back to Earth on July 17th to bolster its newly synthesized crystals of the drug, but their plans were delayed until early September for reasons they somewhat danced around in a post. Our original re-entry date of July 17th was pushed back as we work with our government partners to ensure everyone is fully ready. The pharma crystals on board are ready to come home. Varda was subsequently denied permission to land at Air Force Training Area in Utah for reasons the company chose not to disclose. September 5 and 7 were the primary targets. The request to use the Utah was not granted at this time due to the overall risk, safety, So, on September 8th, Varda formally requested the FAA reconsider its decision, and that is pending. So, the benefits of producing drugs in low gravity compared to producing them on Earth are a bit beyond my simple journalism power. And I ain't even going to read it because I don't know. So at this point, now, while I may not personally need any ritonavir, I sincerely hope that we as a people can get our stuff together and safely bring these space drugs back home to Earth. Doing so would be one small step for man, one giant leap towards me getting to try Martian LSD or whatever's up there sometime in the near future. Whatever. So that's crazy. So apparently, there's two kind of wild things that I didn't know. There is a pharmacy in orbit creating low gravity meds. They're done. They want to come back to Earth, the good old blue and green marble. And they aren't getting permission. In fact, they're getting vague responses to their requests. And it keeps getting pushed. They're supposed to be back in July. Now it's September, and it's being considered. And apparently they said they're, whatever that thing is that's orbiting, the little pharmacy, is good and in good shape, and they they don't have any like gas issues or whatever. But at some point, I suppose it'll become an emergency. Now we're just going to keep talking about this crazy stuff. We got crazy stuff today, and we will get to cannabis. I know it's in here, but I also know that if you seen me see a title called this: "Acid Trip Ends in Arrest for Naked Bills Fan Who Covered Himself in Feces, Fell Down 30-Foot Hole," that you don't want me to read that article, I guarantee you want to know more, because I did. All right, so we're going with it. So this is from High Times. Acid Trip Ends in Arrest for Naked Bills Fan. He covered himself in feces, fell down a 30-foot hole. So this is what Patrick says. He says, "I've heard my fair share of bad acid trip stories. I once talked to a guy who accidentally punched his grandmother before jumping out a second-story window. But even that pales in comparison to cover yourself in human waste from a porta potty, breaking into a construction site, and falling down a giant hole, only to be arrested as soon as you're rescued. Well, do tell. A nude man high on acid, cocaine, and more was arrested." I love how they said more. "Was arrested Sunday after being rescued from a 30-foot pit at a construction site of the Buffalo Bills' new stadium. Relatively unharmed, but covered in human fecal matter from a nearby porta potty. This 29-year-old man was transported to Buffalo General for eval with a few minor injuries before being charged with criminal trespassing. Authorities said the man scaled a very large fence after leaving the porta potty to access the construction site, fell into the pit. So apparently the man was in there awaiting rescue. He gave them a peace sign with one hand and an obscene gesture with the other. Well, that's not very nice of you, sir. He scaled that fence right up, jumped over the other side. Next thing you know, he's running toward the pit. By the time ECC security got behind him now, this individual is falling, tumbling into the pit. It happened so quick, it's a large site. You can't have people every 6 feet. Authorities said the man told him he had consumed acid, coke, alcohol, and cannabis before the sequence of events began. Office assured the public there is no cause for alarm. Just as lightning does not strike twice in the same place, people don't take acid and fall down the same hole twice. There's a joke here about rabbit holes, but I will abstain. When you're taking acid, cocaine, and cannabis, you're not going to read the signs. You're not going to read anything. You wouldn't be in a porta potty jumping inside it, covering yourself in human excrement. You wouldn't be doing that. This is a very isolated issue. Oddly enough, the big giant hole in the ground made headlines that very day, shortly before the naked man met his fateful fall. The Buffalo News ran a story: "Big hole in the ground slows trip, but nothing stops Bills fans from getting to game." So everybody's talking about the big hole in the ground, which is a big giant hole. So Sheriff Garcia spoke very highly of the rest of the hundreds of Bills fans who managed to make it through Sunday without any major incidents. "We always try to stay 4 or 5 plays ahead because our job is to try to prevent incidents like that to occur. But when someone takes acid, coke, and cannabis and they're drinking, from running into traffic to scaling a 10-foot fence, we can't prevent everything." Oh, wow. So, state regulators want Congress to redefine, regulate hemp and Delta 8 THC, which everybody's been clamoring around about that, and we know, and we'll see what's happening. This is interesting. Cannabis moment. Seattle leaders passed a law to prosecute drug possession and public use. Now, Seattle is pretty liberating. It's pretty liberal. I think a lot of stuff is legal there. But Seattle City Council voted 6-3 Tuesday to align the city's municipal code with the 2023 state law. It's a last resort conditions. Last minute turn to kill the June bill. So we'll see how that goes. I'm going to sneeze. Hold on. Ooh, maybe I'm not going to sneeze. Mamby-pamby. I thought I was going to sneeze. My nose is twitching. Okay, so here we go. MaryJane.com. And now we're starting to get into some funny ones here. 2 Kentuckians, and this isn't funny. I didn't read it right. But how many Kentuckians do you think are charged with pot crimes every hour of every day? I'll tell you. 2 Kentuckians are charged with cannabis crimes every hour. More than 300,000 Kentuckians have been charged with cannabis-related crimes since 2002. The new report, which draws on data from the State Administrative Office, found that 303,000 people were charged with cannabis-related crimes. That amounts to 2 people being charged every single hour of every single day for 20 years. And on average, 59% of those people, nearly 179,000, were convicted of those charges. Cannabis charges actually account for a full 10% of the 3.1 million criminal charges filed in Kentucky between 2002 and 2022. The overall rates of charges and convictions vary by county, but rural areas are far more likely to convict people. So Kentucky got to get their act together. In Fayette County, black people account for 49% of all cannabis possession charges, despite the fact that they only make up 16% of the county's population. Raymer points out there's an even more effective solution to the state's antiquated prohibition policies. We could regulate and tax it. Of course you could. And I say you should. Now, this is interesting. MJ Biz Daily. New cannabis ETF hits the market based on rescheduling hopes. And as you know, they plan on rescheduling to Schedule 3, hopefully. But that seems to be the plan. And I feel like it's going to happen. So, there's a new cannabis exchange traded fund. It's been launched by Subversive Capital Advisor based on the potential rescheduling. So, the new Subversive Cannabis ETF invests at least 80% of its net assets in security of companies that are directly involved in the global cannabis sector. Now, they further anticipate the DEA will accept and finalize this recommendation. And I do too. So we're just going to stay tuned and see what happens. Now, Chicago, and of course Illinois is a legal state. Chicago officials considering only letting cannabis licensees sell hemp-derived THC products. Again, this is 8, 10, THCO, HHCs, all those funny ones. And it is legal in Illinois. So they're considering a proposal that would allow only businesses that hold a state-issued cannabis license to sell these. Businesses without cannabis license would still be allowed, but they'd have to have negligible amounts of Delta-9. They would not be allowed to advertise the sale of THC, use images associated with cannabis, or call themselves dispensaries. Second Ward Alder Brian Hopkins, chair of the blah, 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 said the ordinance is needed to address a public health crisis that has emerged as the sales of unregulated products become more popular. His goal is to regulate it and make it safe. So, and it's funny because the city of Chicago should not be banning and eliminating tax revenue. They are right now in a situation where they need as much revenue as possible. Oh, really? I feel like you guys are stinking loaded over there. I mean, you guys are taxing the snot out of cannabis. But whatever. You're listening to Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Every Thursday I get in here. 420, open a big fat bag of cannabis news. And that's what's happening now. However, this next story doesn't have anything to do with cannabis, but it's an interesting story. Infant survived potential kidnapping car crash while dad bought Xanax. I mean, I know I've been coming hard with these titles today. It's insane. It's insane. What did I just say a few minutes ago? A guy naked on acid covered in his own feces jumps into a 30-foot hole. This is like the same thing. Infant survives potential kidnapping car crash while dad bought Xanax. It's like this world is nutty. Where are we at, people? So, the baby was located safe and sound, but everyone else involved in this strange and terrible ordeal went directly to jail. They did not pass go, and they did not collect $200. The father of a 9-month-old baby girl who went missing overnight this past July is facing multiple felony charges because police say he was inside his dealer's house buying drugs when his car left running with his baby inside went missing out of the driveway. According to the Parish Police Department, 9-month-old blah, blah, blah was first reported missing on Monday, July 10th by her father of Jasper, Alabama. Well, it's Alabama. Well, I mean, it all makes sense now, doesn't it? Alabama. On July 10th, 2023, the police department was notified of a 9-month-old child that was left inside a vehicle. The father, Joe Riley, reported to officers that he'd left his child while he went inside to visit his friends. Police said the results of their month-long investigation revealed Freeman had lied about what he'd been doing inside the house. He'd actually been inside purchasing a prescription anxiety med called Xanax, which is often abused for its extremely sedative and tranquilizing effects. So while he was inside, he was, the investigation revealed the father was conducting a drug transaction. Father was made aware while he was inside the residence his car was no longer in a driveway. He drove around for several minutes looking for his car, then notified the police. A handgun and other narcotics were recovered from the residence. Oh, man. All right. An Amber Alert was issued, and according to Police Chief Danny Woodard, over 100 law enforcement units arrived to find Harlow within 30 minutes of the alert. The child was located inside the vehicle 12 hours later. The vehicle was approximately 80 yards down a steep embankment across the street from the house, completely covered in kudzu. What is kudzu? Huh? Anyway, what happened to little Harlow between the time her father went into a suspected dealer's house and the time she was found next morning is still unclear. The vehicle was found just across the street down a steep ravine, shrouded from the view with patches of vines. It was impossible to see. The area was searched multiple times through the night. Harlow was dehydrated, but okay when they found her. The stroke of blind luck, her rear window had been broken, so it gave her fresh air. She was taken to the hospital, was in good condition. Considering the situation, this was the best case scenario. Was alive and just dehydrated. So there's a lot of speculation saying Dad forgot to apply the parking brake and the vehicle rolled into the ravine backwards, but I also found plenty of speculation saying that didn't happen. Chief Woodard says anything is possible. So warrants were issued. Madison Joe Riley and his alleged dealer, as well as a third person, were jailed. Freeman was charged with conspiracy to commit a controlled substance crime and endangering the welfare of a child. That is nutty. That guy needs to get his life together. Now, North Carolina will soon get legal cannabis thanks to Cherokee Nation. Now, I covered this years ago with South Dakota, and they all try to jump the gun. They're like, we're sovereign, we can do it. But then they voted to do it, but they never did it because there was they were afraid of the white man. And for many years, that was the stalemate. They were just afraid that if they did it anyway, I don't know how else to say it, that the white man would press them and stress them and sweat them, and then they would get in trouble. Now that's, not the case now, because a lot of states, when they get aligned with legal, then the sovereign nations can do that. But before states legalize it and then they still try to do it, it's tricky. And so North Carolina is still completely illegal. And last week, the Eastern Band of Cherokee Indians held a referendum and they decided to legalize at 21 years old. And they voted yes. And a lot of these. So North Carolina has thoroughly crushed any and all attempts. Okay, so local politicians are mad the tribe has chosen to sidestep by offering legal cannabis. And so here's the thing. So Chuck Edwards, he recently proposed a bill that would cut federal funding to the legal cannabis states, has promised to interfere with their plans. To allow our citizens to travel only a few miles to buy and use this common gateway drug would be irresponsible, and I intend to stop it. See, and so that's where we are. So, in spite of Congressman Chuck Edwards' blatant attempts to intimidate voters and interfere with tribal sovereignty, members of the band have stood up for their rights. So, Edwards' attempts to scare the tribe into backing down, which has usually worked, may have the exact opposite effect here, by Dick G. Sneed, principal chief. He believes lawmakers' comments actually encouraged more tribal members to vote yes on the measure. Love it. The worst thing that a non-Indian elected official can do is tell a sovereign, federally recognized Indian tribe how they ought to handle their business. Boom. Take that. So we'll see. We'll see, and that'll be cool, because I believe that's how things should go. This is from High Times. A man with Tourette's syndrome pleads with NHS to increase cannabis prescriptions. Connor Ryder from Dorset, a man living with Tourette's, which is basically a tick. The guy's talking, all of a sudden he goes, woo, and then he points up in the air and does like a half step and then drops like 14 expletives. That's Tourette's. Medical cannabis became legal in the UK in 2018, but the government insists they need more research to ensure its safety. Cannabis remains illegal, and due to the scarce availability of prescriptions, Ryder pays £300 every month, which to afford he dips into his savings. He said he spoke to his doctor and that he didn't want to refer me, so he went and referred myself. And I went So I went and referred myself off. So anyway, Ryder's situation isn't unique. Private companies have grown substantially since legalization. Sometimes it just isn't. Whatever. According to the Mayo Clinic, ticks usually appear between the ages of 2 and 15, with the average age around 6. And so apparently, they also use video assessments of ticks to assess how they affected their daily lives. It's worth noting that all these comorbidities are often treated with medical cannabis. So that's good. Mr. Ryder's not surprised to learn that the private sector is booming. He says it's something I dreamed of as a kid, but taking a small pill and it would just disappear. Now I have it basically. I'm hoping that soon I'll be able to work and maybe able to manage it, because that's the only way if it doesn't become available. Every medication that they've been able to give me, they've made me into basically a zombie. Cannabis is the only thing that controls the ticks, and I would argue it still allows him to keep his personality and humanity. Well, I'm going to wrap this up and tell you programming on 95.9 Radio Free Fargo KRFLP is underwritten by Drummer's Journey. Drummer's Journey offers percussion instruments, hardware, electronics, accessories, and more. They have a full service for drummers, including repair, custom building, and lessons. Drummer's Journey is located at Highway 10 East Mall in Moorhead, Minnesota. Their hours are Monday through Thursday, 11 to 7. Fridays and Saturdays, 11 to 5. Sundays, noon to 5. For more info, check drummersjourney.com. They have a profile on the Facebook. Thank you for joining me for another rendition, edition of Canna-Talk ND. I'm going to play some tunes, and by tunes I mean one. And it's brand new from John Popper and Jono Mason. Who's taking care of the road? Boom. Who's taking care of the road when I'm gone? Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. Every Thursday I get in here, 4:20, open a big fat bag of cannabis news, and that happened. I hope you were with me when it did, because then we were doing it together, and we had some crazy stories today. Now, if you missed it and you want to check out those crazy stories, YouTube channel, Canna-Talk ND, minus the music, usually Mondays or Tuesdays. You can check that out. And you can also go to radiofreefargo.org, go to the calendar, type in the date and the day, or in an hour, and you can listen to this with the music. So I encourage you to do that as well. Right after me is a mixtape, then Artemis Shrine, then Friday. And that comes with a whole host of shows. You'll want to check us out. I believe God put cannabis here for us to use as we see fit, and I show him props every Sunday at Antioch Church at 417 Main Avenue, basically downtown on Main, between Broadway and 4th Street. 10 a.m. we do a recovery class. Us junkies hang out, drink coffee, talk about life. 11 a.m. worship. Come on through. This show is brought to you by Black Cottage Alchemy. Black Cottage Alchemy on Facebook. 1,200 megs of CBD, locally grown hemp, comb-free, colloidal, bunch of other stuff in a tub to rub on your bud. And your body will thank you. And I thank Black Cottage Alchemy for sponsoring Canna-Talk ND with Wilson. And I don't know. I feel like I'm about out this sucker. So again, thanks for joining me. I'll be back in next Thursday, I think. I don't see any particular reason why I wouldn't. So there you go. And hopefully a bunch of stuff in the cannabis scene happens between now and then. Otherwise, I'll just be talking about cocaine-stuffed teddy bears, I guess. Parents buying Xanax and leaving their kid in the car and come out and the car's gone. I don't know, man. That's some crazy stuff. But anyhow, educate yourselves on the benefits of cannabis so you can educate others on said benefits. And I'll be back in next Thursday. Again, no Stinky Art Music Mart after me. It's just going to be tunes, so you're going to have to deal with it. And again, you're listening to RadioFreeFargo.org. It's the best independent radio station in the world as far as I'm concerned. I've been here, I'm again, I don't know how many years I've been here. I'm not good at math, but I believe 2019 I started in November. So I don't know. I think that means 4 years. I don't know. But I'm going to get out of here. You guys have a wonderful and blessed day. I'll see you back here Thursdays. Till then, be good to yourselves. David Allen, Judgment Day. Peace.